Hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Daniel. If your focus is to lose weight and keep it off through small lifestyle, habit, food changes, you've definitely come to the right place. But if your focus is to lose weight as quickly as possible with the next sexy fat diet, you're in the wrong place. But I still think you should stick around because I have some really good content that will probably benefit you. But you shouldn't try to lose weight as quickly as possible or find a diet because you're going to lose the weight and then put it back on. Nevertheless, I'm going to make a quick video on what seems to be a very reoccurring theme with my clients, who I work one-on-one with clients to help them lose weight, and that is, how can I get more protein in my diet? And a higher protein consumption is probably one of the most, when it comes to food, one of the most vital food habits that you need to implement in your life. Now, most people that are trying to lose weight, they'll usually think, oh, I need to eat more fruits and vegetables. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you do have to consume more protein as part of like your main strategy. And the reason why you need to consume at least 30 to 40% of protein, if possible 50% protein of your calories, is for a couple of reasons. Protein is very satiating. Of carbs and fat, protein is going to be the most satiating macronutrient. One of the analogies that I like to tell people is, or one of the examples that I like to say is, try to eat a plate 500 calories of chicken and steak fajitas versus 500 calories of chips, and you're gonna see which one's gonna keep you full and satisfied, whereas the other one is gonna keep you wanting more. The other thing is, protein is known as having a high thermic effect. So of the three macronutrients, protein has the highest thermic effect, meaning that your body burns about 20 to 30% of those calories. Think about how cool that is. So you eat a plate with protein and your body's only gonna metabolize or digest 70 or 80% of that. So essentially you have a little bit more food and your body's burning extra. Now, where it gets really confusing, and this is a big topic of that that I've had with my clients, is, well, I get confused with where does protein come from? And that's a fair question for somebody that's starting to lose weight. So especially if you're a beginner with weight loss, is where do I get protein? Where do I get that much protein? It's really simple. So most protein is going to come from animal sources. It's as simple as that. So if you think of chicken, fish, steak, turkey, etc., that's all protein. So anything that that is from an animal or that is meat is going to be protein. Then you also have things like dairy. You have things like Greek yogurt. You have some you can use low-fat cheese, and I'll talk about the difference between low-fat and regular cheese in a second. But things like Greek yogurt, low-fat cheese, eggs are very high protein as well. So you need to make sure that you're consuming. If you're eating 3 times a day, you gotta ask yourself, where is the protein in this meal? Where is this a protein dominant plate? Vegetables, fruits, they're not high protein. Carbohydrates, they're not high protein. You have some carb sources, some legumes like beans and like quinoa that do have some protein, but they're not a protein dominant source. And that's where a lot of people get confused. They think, well, beans are high in protein, so I'm gonna eat a lot of beans, but you're also stacking calories. There's nothing wrong with beans, but they're not a protein dominant source. So you have to think animal sources. Where is the protein coming from? Okay, so now you understand where most of the protein sources come from, right? They're gonna come from animal sources. They're gonna be meats, they're gonna be fish, chicken, poultry, etc. Now the follow-up problem is, and I hear this a lot, and I feel like if you're trying to lose weight and if you're a beginner and somebody tells you eat a high protein diet, this is something that you're gonna run into is, well, I'm trying to eat a high protein diet, but my fat is also going up. So you have to learn how to differentiate between fatty protein sources and lean protein sources. And there's nothing optimal or wrong about doing either one, but you have to use some strategy. So if you're eating, for example, if somebody's eating prime rib or they're eating brisket, well, they're gonna say, well, I'm eating a high protein diet, but it's also very fatty, and on top of that, they're adding the rice, potatoes, and now they're not losing weight because it's high protein, high fat, high carbs. So the most simple thing that you gotta do is, if you eat a protein source that's fatty, you have to either mitigate or reduce the carbs that are in that particular meal. If you're eating a lean protein source like chicken breast, tilapia, shrimp, ground turkey, lean ground turkey, deli meats that are lean, then you can have a little bit more carbs. Now, the conundrum here is, okay, well, how do I know which one is which one is a lean or fat? And this is gonna be probably the most lazy advice I'm gonna give you, but you just have to look it up. I mean, you have a phone, thanks to Google, you can look anything up. Or more importantly, you can just look up at the nutrition label. I think that should be the number one piece of advice, is look up at the nutrition label and see if it has a lot of fat, if it's low fat or if it's high fat. So for example, if you're doing lean ground turkey and you're doing like a casserole, then yeah, maybe you can add some rice, potatoes, because you don't have the fat that's gonna add the calories. But if you're doing something like brisket, then try to have your vegetables with it, but don't go so heavy on the potatoes. As a rule of thumb, most white meats, whether it's fish or poultry, are gonna be lean protein sources. So you can eat like 8 or 9 ounces per plate with vegetables and add some healthy carbs like legumes, rice, potatoes, whatever you want to add in there. And most dark meats are going to be very fatty, and that's where you want to go a little bit easy on the carb, because then you're going to be stacking calories on top of calories. Now the purpose is to get a high protein diet, but you got to be careful with the fats and carbs and balance them out a little bit more. Now, if this sounds confusing, I would suggest that you watch this video a few times so you can kind of digest the content. If not, I go into more detail, this particular, food habit in my book. So I would highly suggest that you check it out. I'm going to leave the link in the description below. But, regardless, you have to follow a high protein diet. It's going to be essential because it's very filling. It's going to help you, burn more calories. You're going to be more satiated. And at the end of the day, by the time that you lose the weight, and when you keep off the weight, you're gonna have a more satisfactory body composition. You're gonna be more happy with what you see, because high protein also helps you retain muscle. And real quick, if you're a vegan, you have to be a little bit more strategic in that, you have to watch your calories a little bit more carefully, but there are also vegan alternatives like tofu, tofurkey, seitan, tempeh, all those things, which if you're a little bit soy sensitive, then you might not want to go like 30 or 40%, but at least try to be like 25%, of your daily intake is coming from protein. You can also consider protein powders, whether you're vegan or not. Those can help you out tremendously. One of the funny things that I say in my book is 1 protein shake a day is going to help keep the cravings away, because for one, there's many flavors in protein powders, and if you have a protein shake right before you go out to eat, so here's a little tip: if you're going to go out to eat with friends, or you're going to go to a buffet, get a protein powder, mix it up with 8 ounces of almond milk, and it's going to control your appetite tremendously by the time you go to the buffet, and you're probably going to eat way less than you were normally going to. So once again, one of the most important food habits that you have to execute for short and long-term success is a higher protein intake. So watch this video a few times so you can so that you can better digest the content. If not, check out my book. I go into more detail and I give more detailed examples on what protein sources are best for your body type, that sort of thing. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully you found some value in this video, and remember to keep your protein intake at least at 30%. If you can, try to get up to 50%.